So just to introduce ourselves, my name is Joseph. I'm a Director of Business Development at Hostfully. As I was saying, I'm from England in Europe. And we also have along Pooja, Senior Manager of Content Marketing in Akia, as well as Frank, Senior Director of Business Development, as well as Martin. So we're going to be here to showcase you Hostfully and Akia and go through the Emergence Digital Nomads. Just go through a bit of Hostfully. So Hostfully offers two products. Now, we are used in over 80 countries around the world, and we have the platform and the Guidebooks. The property management platform is a product which entails everything in one space for a holiday rental manager to manage their business from start to finish through the core platform and centralized interface. It started 7 years ago. So Margot and David, based in San Francisco, just like Pooja, they started with the Guidebooks, and Margot used to work for Apple, and they came together and they were looking for a better solution. So they brought together the platform. And we now manage over 50,000 properties. We have clients in over 80 countries. We serve 250,000 travelers every year who use the platform. And then we have another product, Guidebooks. They have over 1 million viewers a month with over 500,000 recommendations. And although the headquarters is in San Francisco, we're dotted across the globe. A lot of us are active holiday rental managers. A lot of us are digital nomads. So there's teams in Argentina, Vietnam, India, France, Ireland, Spain, England, all over the US, as well as Canada. So we are the only US company with preferred partner status with the big three, and we are back-to-back winners of the VRB Keystone Awards, as well as last year we got Best Property Management Software with the Shorties Award. So the two products, they're there to help you. You know, it's all in one space, going to save you time, increase revenue, get you better reviews, and just make your life easier. I think that's the bottom line. It's just going to make your life a lot easier. The Guidebooks to enhance the guest experience and service. So instead of a guest bombarding you with questions like, hey, where's the Wi-Fi? How do I park up? Where do I get my remote lock code? Everything's in the Guidebook for them to enjoy their stay, and there are ways of making money through them. The features of the platform, so it is an end-to-end solution. If you want afterwards, we can happily give you a demo on one-on-one. So there's a pipeline for managing all the reservations, unified inbox for messaging the guests, the owners, the cleaners. You have owners and cleaners portals, loads of automations. You can automate emails, text messages, WhatsApp messages. You can create jobs automatically, Airbnb reviews automatically. You can set up reports. Reports are fully customizable. There's all sorts, full integration with Stripe and PayPal. You've got the payment process in there, centralized calendar and quote building tools. Comes with a website as well, open API, team roles. There's a lot to it. And we have the new app. So we're really growing and scaling fast. The company itself is bringing out features every month. I kind of try and find it hard to keep up with it myself. We brought out the new app recently. We've got the new calendar, got direct messaging into booking.com as well as Airbnb. We're going to be fully integrated with Google Travel really soon, which is really exciting, as well as Verbo messaging. So a lot of new changes, and the company's really grown. There's now 75 of us spread across the globe. So it's really, really, really good fun. And we are the most openly integrated platform out there. So as you grow and scale the business, you will probably be needing some integrations. We have all sorts of integrations like dynamic pricing, such as Price Labs. You've got the payment processors, such as PayPal. You've got accounting systems, such as QuickBooks. We just yesterday, we've just recently brought in, every new client gets a free guest screening with Superhog. And there's marketing integrations, there's automations with remote locks and smart home, and loads of different channels you can connect with. So all in one space, all the bookings are going to come through to Hostfully. You can manage everything in Hostfully there. All right, that's enough about Hostfully. So what we're going to do is just pass everything on to Pooja, and we look forward to hearing what you have to say. Thanks.
Thanks, Joseph. Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. For those of you who missed the introduction, I am Pooja Khandelwal, Senior Marketing Manager at Akia. And I'm really excited to be here to share some key insights about digital nomads, what makes them perfect guests, and how to entice them. But before we dive into, all good things about digital nomads, I'd like to first tell you a little bit about Akia, who we are and what we do. So we could quickly go to the next slide. Akia is a guest engagement and automation platform. We digitize operations and help increase efficiency. So like from automating pre-arrival back and forth between guests and you, to notifying you when guests sign rental agreements, to following up with them with post-stay surveys. We have helped over thousands of vacation rental eliminate the tedious manual admin tasks, the monotonous paperwork, and all of this ultimately so that you can drive more engagement, provide better experience, and improve your overall reputation. And then on next slide, I'll show you how exactly we do this. So Akia integrates with numerous property management systems like Hostfully and other rental technologies that enable, sort of allow us to, match exact reservation with respective units. So for example, just by syncing in with Hostfully, we get this ability to pull specific unit and reservation details and dynamically populate rental manuals, agreements, check in instructions, or updates to have them automatically be sent out to guests any time of their guest journey, either before, during, or after the stay. And this real time connectivity not only creates sort of a rich interactive experience for guests, but having this end to end workflow automation helps reduce the operational costs and also gives you an opportunity to increase revenue through targeted upsells. On next slide, I want to talk a little bit about guest data enrichment. So we also help with that. Help you get a deeper understanding of your guests, learn more about their preferences, their travel habits, sentiments, and loyalties. And these are all valuable insights. They can be leveraged in so many different ways. For example, creating actionable reports or just helping you build that sort of stronger relationship, getting more reviews, help you get more bookings, or just helping with some targeted upsells. We understand that vacation rentals is a very hands-on business. It requires a lot of work, and there can be a lot of risks involved. So getting into the minds of your guests, knowing what type of audience makes an ideal guest for you, for your properties, can come in very handy. So, with that said, let's jump into our topic for the day, focusing on the prime audience for vacation rental, digital nomads. So, on the next slide, I have the agenda for today's presentation. So we'll start off with defining who digital nomads are, what's their profile like, and what demographics do they fall under. We'll follow that with an overview of how they've grown exponentially over the last few years, how pandemic has influenced and really pushed their growth, and what the predictions are for the years coming. Because if you are going to invest in something, you want to make sure that there's a good future, right? And then we'll touch upon what really makes them ideal guests for you, and finally we'll go through their needs and requirements, focusing on how to attract them to turn them into authentic guests. So next slide. Okay, so what defines digital nomads? Who really are they? These are individuals, well, as a side note, it's really, how cool is that? We have two of them on this meeting right here with us. So guys, please feel free to pitch in. But these are individuals who combine remote work with traveling around the country or the world for various reasons and different lengths of time. Or in just in more simplified explanation, they merge work and leisure together. So they're always on the hunt for new adventures. They know their way around technology. All they need is a technologically enabled workspace, Wi-Fi being their topmost must-have, because that allows them to work from anywhere in the world. And they're actually pretty widespread. They're already growing, and this, like I mentioned before, this growth was further accelerated by the pandemic. So in the next slide, I have more information about their demographics. Over 42% of them are millennials. Millennials and Gen Z make up majority of digital nomads today, with a combined percentage of 61. um, they they used to be about 48 before the pandemic. So millennials and Gen Z are people roughly between the age groups of 13 to 43, suggesting that digital nomads in general have gotten younger. People, they've just gotten it's gotten much younger. They have more younger people over the last few years, and these people work in a wide variety of fields like IT, education, consulting, coaching, research, sales and marketing, PR, and other creative services. A lot of them are in United States, and these guys make, typically they make upward of $75,000 per year, which also gives them a high disposable income, which ultimately, impacts their requirements and what they really look for and expect in a rental. Um, Another interesting factor about them is that they are eco-conscious people. So they are big promoters of sustainability travel trends. They're very careful, and they take extra steps in limiting their carbon footprint. Always sensitive about it, and they may even consider staying in one place, in one location, a bit longer than making quick stops in multiple locations. And then on the next slide, I have some statistics that speak to their growth in the last few years in United States. So in 2020 alone, their number increased by almost 50% to 11 million. And then in 2021, it grew again to 15.5 million. So again, COVID being the big contributor in this upsurge, it just allowed, with COVID, it was interesting because a lot of businesses of all sizes realized that it's okay to become remote friendly. It's okay to be, to allow employees to work from anywhere. So that also sort of pushed this trend. On the next slide, I have some more numbers here. So before the pandemic hit us, just as an example, remote work opportunities in US was just around 4% of the total available jobs. And now we have more than 15% of remote jobs in the total available jobs in the US. So that's like 3 times increment than before. Plus, once a remote, always a remote. A study has found that 97% of remote workers prefer to just continuing to work remote, even if it means, being remote till the very end of their career. And research from our labs stated that 50% of remote employees said that they'd rather take a pay cut or even quit the job if forced to being forced to ask to return to office full time. So, all in all, right now, worldwide, we have about 35 million digital nomads, and it's expected to cross 60 million in the next few years. So, all of this points it to the direction that this trend is definitely on the rise, and investing in making your rentals nomad friendly is going to be a very smart move. Next slide, just to give you
Yeah, I actually have a question, Pooja.
more.
In terms of being a digital nomad, so I
Mhm.
was born and raised in New York City, came down to North Carolina, and then I started the job with Hostfully. My salary that I would make in North Carolina is very different than the one I would have made in New York if I were to work in an office. So that's always something a lot of people, think about in terms of starting a new job and in a different state is the salary. Being a digital nomad, I can technically work for a New York City company offering a New York City salary, but I can move down south. Well, not anymore. It's down south. the houses and the markets definitely increased. But let's just say, I could move to the Midwest in a small little town with a New York salary, and I could be making more than anyone in that town. Have you seen, or do you have any numbers on that in terms of expectancies of like just livability and the way that that's impacted people's just growth in general?
I don't have numbers top of my mind, but in my research, I definitely have come across this fact, especially during COVID. A lot of people from states working in states like California and New York just preferred to go to much more cost-effective states like Texas to be able to make the same amount of money but have a lot of saving. I mean, we're talking about, if the research tells us that they make not upward of $75,000, and that gives them a high disposable income. But come on, you and I know that in a state like in New York or in the Bay Area, 75,000 does not really give you a lot of disposable income. So yeah, I mean, there definitely is an indication, but I don't have numbers right now top of my head.
Yeah, no, I was just curious in terms of that, because that's what we've seen here in North Carolina, is that because of COVID and the pandemic and this digital nomad and work from home is happening, it's definitely brought North Carolinian houses or markets have doubled. Like my house 2 years ago would have been half of what it is now. So it's curious to see how the market's going to shift in terms of all that stuff, especially in short-term rentals. We are in the industry of short-term rentals. Before, people would look at North Carolina and be like, "Oh, I'm going to get a 3-bedroom, 3-bath house for 200 grand. I'm going to flip it and I'm going to make profit." In certain parts of North Carolina, majority of North Carolina, especially after COVID, you can't find a 3-bedroom house for 200,000 anymore. So I'm curious to see how that also reflects in the short-term rental markets.
Yep, I think that's a very valid point.
Go for it. Just my
All
2
right.
cents.
Yeah. So moving on, just to sort of also show you another example of how this trend is picking up globally, is that a lot of countries are recognizing it and embracing this trend. So they're trying to make the most of it. All the countries listed here, and if I'm not, if I'm correct, I think, Joseph, you're right now in Cape Verde, right? So
I came back to cold England, but yeah, I'll be off again in a week, sure.
So, well, these countries are actually investing and introducing visas that enable digital nomads to live and work legally for up to 2 years. And it's not just that, they've really gone a step ahead, and they have developed marketing strategies to convince tourists to stick around longer, or at least come back and revisit tourists having digital nomad visas. So with that said, on the next slide, let's look at the why. Fine, they're growing, but why should you target this audience type, and what makes them one of the most ideal guests for you to have? So to begin with, let's talk about off-season bookings. These people, due to their season independent traveling nature, they can travel when a lot of us cannot. For example, they don't have to wait for holidays to book trips, or they don't have to work around their children's school calendars. So it just makes them perfect candidates for low season bookings. And they typically stay for longer too. So what can be better than having your low seasons booked, that too for extended period of time, right? And since these individuals have comparatively higher disposable income, they are more likely to be able to pay higher nightly rates. Of course, given that the quality and the experience is, better. So just investing in one-time upgrades in your amenities can absolutely fetch a lot more revenue for you guys. Another great quality with these travelers is that they are courteous. They are very respectful of properties, very respectful of the neighbors. They are usually trouble free, far less riskier, and This also means that your property is going to be less vulnerable. There's going to be less chances of misusing or breaking things. So that's always good. They are relatively low maintenance. So, they are actually looking for a home away from home. So, if the check-in, if the house rules and other instructions are communicated well with them, they usually don't ask too many questions. Since their main priority is to work during the daytime, communicating with them can be more easy and relaxed, and great for hosts who are remote. Being tech savvy, these folks rely a lot on online research, and they are the ones to often leave reviews as well. So getting them to post a review would be a lot more easier. And speaking of reviews, also as a side note, having more reviews is a good way to get them to, get them to your properties even more. So with that, that brings us to the next part, which is, um, how do we attract them? So while we know that they make wonderful guests, let's look at how can we actually get them to turn into more authentic guests for you. So in this part of the presentation, I'm just going to go over their top requirements and needs, and how can you set yourself apart in the market by understanding what they need and what they want. So just roughly divided it into 5 broad categories, like the first one being amenities, technology, being open to last minute bookings, referrals, incentives, online reputation, and branding. So let's get started with the first, which is amenities, on the next slide. As I've mentioned before, their most basic requirement is high speed internet. So Wi-Fi is their number one priority. Investing in a great connection, and also as a side tip, you could even post a screenshot of your internet speed as a test proof. That would be great, and that would also sort of show them that they will be well taken care of. Apart from that, good space, bright with enough light, a dedicated workstation with office furniture, lots of outlets and charging stations, printer, office supplies, whiteboards would be other nice to have elements. And, for those of you who have smaller properties or not enough space, you could even go the extra mile of partnering with a flex office space. That will be an excellent way of targeting this demographic. Safety and security is another important element for them, because they travel solo. So especially women, they will want to know that your rental is in a safe and secure area with easy access. So consider investing in secure door locks and keyless entries to give them that level of safety and security. And since these guys will be working from your place, having it close to restaurants, bars, other local attractions would be a huge plus too. They appreciate local hangouts for post work, so just for post work relaxing. And apart from that, just simple offerings, like well stocked kitchen, coffee, snacks. They are always traveling, so washing machine, basically giving them a good feel of home. And then on next slide, we have more about the technology aspect. So adopting tools and technology that digitizes communication and streamlines their entire journey is going to be a hit. So consider automation platforms for giving them a good experience. There are numerous vacation rental design softwares and smart integrations to help you become more tech enabled if you aren't already. And it's also important to understand that digital nomads are people who they grew up with tech. They are big on screens. They even have it in their title, digital. So they are early adopters of technology, and they belong to the generation of online streaming. They use internet for literally everything. Internet and mobile phones. For example, booking Uber rides or Lyfts or takeouts, or just getting their grocery done. They are used to doing everything from the tips of their fingers, and convenience, and it's because of the convenience and the flexibility that comes with it. They also hate to be left hanging, so they prefer instant responses and appreciate not having to wait a lot to get some key information. It could be about, your rentals, about your house rules. So just investing in a good communication channel would be a smart move. Text messaging, because of all of these factors, text messaging makes an ideal engagement channel for them. And I have some interesting studies on the next slide here. So majority of the modern consumers aged between 18 to 44 prefer to use text messaging as primary way to communicate with anyone, which also includes businesses. So as you can see, 3/4 of the adults within the US would prefer to use text messaging over other mode of communication like emails or phone calls. And then on next slide, plus by just being able to send the right message at the right time, you can get like much larger results. For example, with the help of technology and AI, you could schedule a simple text, to check in on the first night, like, "Hi, just wanted to make sure everything is all right the first night at the property," or just feature more targeted upsell for, send messages for early check-in or late checkout. These small gestures can make a huge difference with them. It gives them the ease that they are always looking out for, and it also helps you build this sort of reliable relationship with them. So it's going to boost your engagement, and it will also 100% increase your reputation within this audience group. On the next slide, let's see what we have here. All right, so since this demographic is not tied down to season-specific bookings, they often make last-minute plans, and they prefer hosts who are responsive and who would welcome short notice confirmation. So what does this mean for you is, having that ability to communicate and send in all information ASAP at any given moment. And again, how can you do that? Is just technology, messaging, and automation with triggers can help you be extremely effective here. So automated responses can ensure that nothing falls through the cracks without. It can also help you relax because you don't really need to stay on top of it at all times, which can end up just being a lot of unnecessary extra work for you. So think about having triggers that up, like when someone books, your system automatically sees that, and it understands that it needs to send them a bunch of instructions or sign up forms or different notices that you want them to have. On the next slide, so we're here as a side tip. Another way to easily track last minute inquiries and messages is to invest in having a centralized communication system or a unified inbox, a hub where you can consolidate all these messages from different channels like social media, WhatsApp, text messages, Facebook Messenger, email, OTAs like Airbnb and VRBO, and also your own website. It'd be really nice to have everything come into one place, so you don't have to scramble around, or you don't have to worry about a last minute reservation inquiry just getting lost. It helps you, it gives you that level of organization that you need to be able to be quick and fast with digital nomads. Next slide. I think next slide we talk about referrals and we talk about referrals and reputation. So consider making your rentals more attractive by setting up loyalty programs, incentives for repeat guests. So a nice way would be to ensure, heavy bookings, have a heavy pipeline of bookings, is to provide incentives and referrals. So once a guest likes a place, especially digital nomads, they will, I mean, not only will they come back to visit, but they'll also spread the word on, you know, with, they'll just sort of spread the word along on their different networks, because these people are really big on networking and networks. They yearn for new community wherever they go. So word of mouth can really go a long way with them. They also rely heavily on research. They read a lot. They read a lot of reviews before deciding a new place. So make sure that your star rating is good. And another example would be to just invest in a good review management. And I think I have an example on the next slide. So if you take a look at, if we can go to the next slide. Yeah, if you take a look at these two potentially competing rentals, they are within the same area. They offer similar amenities and services, with one being a little more expensive, but it has slightly more star ratings. It also has more than double the number of reviews. And I can guarantee you that majority of the digital nomads will be more likely to book the one with better reviews, even if it's slightly more expensive. So again, investing in a good review management system. Next slide. It'll ensure that no good reviews get missed. So like, for an example, you see on the image here. And also a good thing about these review management platform is that they help in service recovery. So more brownie points for you. If you're able to resolve any issue with unhappy guests, and also at the same time prevent them from writing a nasty review, because we definitely don't want that, right? So with that, that brings me to the last point on the next slide, which talks about branding. And I cannot emphasize enough on how important it is to brand and market yourself out there. So you could just start by diversifying where you acquire guests. Every business has to diversify their lead source, and vacation rental is no different. So use the internet, leverage the internet, have presence on social media, share insights of your units, of your personal values, and tell them how you are perfect for them. Tell your story by displaying your company values. You could make it look good with consistent tone, consistent messaging, fonts, colors, image, your logo. I mean, really, sky is the limit when it comes to branding. And while you're at it, also make sure to highlight and advertise your location. That's again a very easy and a nice way to attract these people. So make it clear on your rental that how your property is in a must-visit location. Make it clear in your titles, in your descriptions. Emphasize on the local attractions, or just the hot spots that you have around you. And as a side tip, you could even go the extra mile of co-marketing with local vendors. You probably may have boutique stores or small local restaurants. So it would be interesting to just co-market with them. There's a huge opportunity there. There really is, that there's no limit when it comes to branding yourself for these folks. And thankfully, there are a lot of companies who can help you manage and help you brand and market from this perspective. This is something you don't want to miss out on as you grow and acquire more properties. And then next slide. So just to sum it all up, digital nomads market has positively boomed since the pandemic. They are a huge opportunity for vacation rental hosts, and responding to their specific needs, showcasing your high quality listings across different channels, improving your communication, automation, building your brand, and investing in getting better and greater reviews can come in very handy and can go a long way. And going this route will also give you other benefits. It can help you save time, money, and a lot of stress by attracting more direct and repeat bookings too. So that sort of wraps it up from my end, but I'd love to, open it up to you guys and hear more from you if you have any questions. I'd also like to hear from you, Joseph and Martin, your experience of being a digital nomad. And, if anything here resonated with you guys, if you do see an overlap and be like, oh, yeah, oh my God, yeah, I totally do that.
Yeah, definitely. Well, Wi-Fi top priority, 100%. It's sometimes frustrating when you're trying to get reviews that address Wi-Fi for like working, and you don't get any. So definitely try to encourage that, and I always try to leave a review if that's I think I appreciate it or not. And then you also mentioned longer stays, like 100%. It's not traveling for vacation where you're taking a week or two, but you're actually traveling for maybe like a month or two. Once because like you're trying to, like you said, find a home somewhere else and kind of leave the experience in a different way. And then also, if I'm going to a new city and I'm like, okay, I'll need a week to stay to, get to actually know the city and not just hit the most iconic spots. I'll be like, okay, I need 7 days. I can only account for complete days on weekends because I'm working. I might hit something during the week, but it's mostly weekends when you do the tourism. So if I need a week, that's at least 3 to 4 weekends that I need. That's already a month right there. So longer stays are really appreciated, and like you say, having someone, if you're staying for a long time, having someone that actually, get back to you in case there's an issue, super super recommended.
I agree, Martin. Yeah, the major factors I find when traveling around and finding a new spot is like a good homely environment where you've got, a good kitchen and a good workspace and just a nice environment, as well as being like located around, bars, restaurants, and things. As Pooja was saying, I think the main problem I find when I'm traveling around and finding a new space is the Wi-Fi. Every country has different speeds and things, and I think for me, like it would be amazing if more companies, more businesses, like just showcase their Wi-Fi speed. It's one of those things where I dot around looking for different choices, but the main one really is the Wi-Fi. If you don't, I mean, I guess it depends on what sort of work you're doing day in and day out. But if you're, like sales like me, you're doing, video calls each day and things like this, you do really need at least 15 megabytes or upwards. Otherwise, it's a real no-go. So one thing is literally just showcasing the Wi-Fi speed within a description on Airbnb. Say, I know in Hostfully, on the direct booking website, you can put in an amenity to show a Wi-Fi speed on there, which is really useful. But yeah, just having that Wi-Fi speed now is so good because every time I'm going around to different properties, being like, hey, how fast is your Wi-Fi? And sometimes you get a response, sometimes you don't, and it's fine. But it is a big decision for me personally to have really good Wi-Fi, at least 15 megabytes or up. But if there is a way of showcasing that on the property, I'll be sure to be to booking that place. Yeah.
And just going in terms of like booking places, do you find that what's like I guess a good question would be, is there normally a certain amount of time that you find with travelers, specifically digital nomads, that is it all last minute bookings? Do they plan in advance? Like you'll probably know you'll have a digital nomad staying with you a month in advance, or is it like the night before? I'm sure it depends on the person, but just based on your experience, is there usually like a length of time?
Yeah, I'd say, yeah, it does definitely depend on the type of person, but I'd say personally, like it is kind of a last minute sort of thing. You're dotting around and seeing new places, and it's for me, it's very spontaneous. You see one place and you're like, oh, I don't know how long I'm going to explore this place, and just how much is there to do and stuff like that. Because you're working on the side, but also you're exploring the planet, so you're just seeing new things and doing new things. So I'd say for me, like very spontaneous booking quite last minute, but then again. I do prefer to look for that sort of monthly stay where you do get a slight discount if you do stay for longer. So always better to sort of plan ahead and book ahead. But yeah, maybe Martin, you might plan ahead a bit more, but I'm a bit more sort of like, oh, I'm going to try out that new city next, or yeah, maybe you're the same, Martin.
I'm the same. I only have a one-way ticket so far, and that's my whole plan for the next 6 months, I think.
Nice.
That's
Yeah.
Gen Z compared to a millennial right here. I plan months in advance.
Sorry, just side note, Joseph, we could move on to the next slide.
Of
I
course.
guess
Yeah.
there's not much. We just have, yeah, just like questions, but I've also plugged in emails in case anybody wanted to reach out. Um, do we have any more questions?
Yeah, I see there's a good one from John there with the largest
Yeah, I was
data.
about to bring that one too up, Joseph. Bring it up.
Awesome. Yeah, take it away, Frank.
No, it's John asked that we only host large estate homes, like 4,000 to 7,000 square foot homes. In terms of digital nomads, based on what I learned today and kind of what I know based on being in the short-term rental space, is that technically digital nomads, yes, 1 to 4 guests per house or per unit may make more sense in terms of like Joseph or Martin, who have girlfriends, fiancés, and they travel with them. I remember, and I believe I don't know if it was a case study we did, or maybe it was something on like Airbnb or Vrbo or one of those channels. Um, but there was a lot of talk about families also. There's like a whole movement on families being digital nomads. So I know if I'm traveling for work with my wife and 2 kids, I want that 4,000 square foot home. I want to focus on a big house so I have my privacy and my family can have that experience of like, the traditional life, but at the same time being a little bit more adventurous. So I do remember that. But John, I'll touch base with you in terms of how Hostfully can benefit. This way, we're not just selling Hostfully the whole time. But like Joseph mentioned earlier, and again, you're all going to get a recorded webinar of this. But with Hostfully, we have all the features that could assist with not only digital nomads, but in general guests, automated emails, quick response via our inbox. So there's a lot of features, and especially with Akia, there's a lot that you can do for, like, for example, Joseph, he wanted, he decides, oh, tomorrow I'm going to go to Italy. He's going to reach out to property managers in Italy. If that property manager takes a day or two to respond, or if they don't have any automated messaging saying, hey, we'll get back to you shortly, Joseph's on to the next property manager. So there's all these like, features and capabilities that you can find both in Hostfully and Akia where it can benefit. Again, John, go back to yours, not just 1 to 4 guests, but those bigger vacation, beautiful 7,000 square foot homes are still in the running. So I'll love to chat with you more about that.
Great response. Yeah, I just saw a question from Matilda about the budget. Yeah, so personally for me and the fiance, we find like everyone's going to be in different currencies here, but in pounds it's looking like, I have sort of budget wise when it comes to it of between like £60 and like 80, 90, something like that, which in US dollars would be between like 72 and 96 US dollars a night. Maybe go a bit less. It depends on the sort of the stay itself, but I tend to gauge it around that budget in mind. Tend to like to stay for at least 2 weeks at a time in one place. If not, like I was in Rome last year for a month and a half and found a really nice, like it was through Airbnb, great space, good workplace, good Wi-Fi, very fast and really like nice and airy. But yeah, but budget wise, Matilda, it would be very much between like, for me personally, like between £60 and like £80 per night maximum. Wouldn't go over like 90 or something. It does sort of add up, and I guess it depends on people's budgets and things, but that's personally for me. I don't know what you have, Martin. Do you gauge maybe daily, or do you prefer just being like, oh, that place looks awesome, let's just go for it?
I'll normally try to be within 50 to 75 US dollars per night. And then occasionally, if I'm doing like a short trip, I'll maybe spend like a little bit over 100. If I'm doing like 3, 4 nights on a, high-end place or a resort or something, I'll spend a little bit more. But that would be the average between 50 and $100, I would say. Considering that, like you mentioned, I need good Wi-Fi, a working space, something that's comfortable. I know that comes with a cost. So, yeah.
For sure, yeah, yeah. I think you invest in what sort of good, good Wi-Fi, good space to work in, and just very homely. But yeah, I'd say like it depends on the location. I do personally like trying different accommodations. Like I tried a cabin in the middle of nowhere in Montenegro. That was really cool, and somehow that Wi-Fi was better than being in a city in Cape Verde. So it's really like random what you're gonna get, but it's really cool. Just dot around. It's a bit, yeah, pretty spontaneous, but it's there's some great choices out there for sure.
Yeah. What channels do y'all use when you plan your
Um,
travels? I know
yeah,
because Helenia, I was going to ask the same question. She beat me to it. Obviously, there's the big ones like Airbnb and Verbo. Are there any niche channels that you found to be a little bit more successful? Maybe
yeah,
some that aren't?
yeah. I quite like using Kayak. That's quite good. But then again, like it's rarely like Airbnb is the main go-to
A
one for
lot,
me personally. It's
a
got a
lot
very
booking.
do
Booking
yeah
has some international presence, so like you need to do a little bit more research on it. But it has availability on many countries, so it's kind of like if you're always using Booking, you'll earn points, so you get discounts in whatever countries you're gonna go. So that's kind of cool.
yeah
And then Eliana also asked about booking a private room versus on a large property versus a property by ourselves. Ideally, my preference is like a cabin or an apartment that's just for us, even if it's in a complex. And then if it's like they're called co-livings, they're kind of hostels with working spaces, and there you kind of rent your own room in a larger place. But I've never been in a house, for example, that's 4 bedrooms and just renting one of these. I've always have like my private room or apartment.
nice
Just a preference.
Yeah.
yeah
And what I also found to be successful, and again, I wish I can remember this webinar or article, but it was along the lines of using, as a property manager, using your guests and giving them discount codes or maybe like a referral to, for example, if Martin stayed with me and he had a blast, I would give him a discount code or a referral bonus if he tells one of his other digital nomad friends like Joseph about my location and my Wi-Fi being great and my community and my location. There's that option as well, that I found that to be a cool strategy.
nice. Yeah, Robert, I just saw your question with the nightly fee. Yeah, it definitely does depend on the country and what they offer. Like Montenegro is like relatively cheap, £15 a night or something like that. It was very cheap and really nice stay. But yeah, you can go up to Rome and it's like, 70, £80 for a more standard stay. So yeah, it does sort of fluctuate. And yeah. And mids, yeah, I'd say, I mean, me personally, like that's quite a big stay. I can imagine it's a bit pricier above my budget, but there'll be nomads out there that's perfectly suit your stay with the 4 bedrooms, 3 baths and 2 workspaces, especially the workspace. That's a big issue. I definitely recommend promoting that quite a lot with the workspace. That's that would entice me for sure.
We'll share.
Some great questions here.
Sorry, Pooja, and you might know this
Yeah.
better, or maybe one of the guys do. Is there a specific like city or country where you've seen an increase in digital nomads? Like, is there like a list?
Yeah.
Or yeah, I'm not too sure if you
Uh,
covered it.
United States, because I mean, the digital nomad presence has increased globally everywhere, but majority of them are in United States. So I would say that puts US at the top, and because of COVID, some of the European countries have also seen a rise. But then again, the numbers don't come up close to what you see in United States.
Yeah. And it's probably easier to travel within the US than it is international as well, with all the regulations and stuff.
Exactly.
Um,
Yeah.
Great. We have 7 minutes, guys. Let's keep this going. Keep asking questions.
Lee here has one that is maybe a little bit too long. So if you want to split that. And Jeff. Do digital nomads search or call themselves that when looking? I would actually do both. He's asking like if he should try to optimize the website to promote amenities that are appealing to digital nomads, or just state that it's a good place for digital nomads. I would do both personally. Amenity wise, because when you do filters, like on Airbnb, for example, you're able to search. Some channels have the ability to search by like Wi Fi connection, if it's over 50 or less megabytes, if there's like a desk or a
Mhm.
separate or an office room, whatever. So if you do have those amenities, by all means, like mark them down because they will come up on the filter. And then also while
Yeah.
you're
So
reviewing, if yeah, sorry, Puja.
go ahead. I'll jump
Oh
in
no,
when you
while I'm
finish.
reviewing, I'll check the description, and if definitely 100% if it says good for digital nomads, I'll send an inquiry, or I'll keep reviewing the amenities and the reviews it has because it's appealing to me. And yeah, I think we go by digital nomads, or at least I do. I think my LinkedIn profile has that description.
Also, just being able to, just featuring that, hey, you know what, you could stay here and work from here, or just being like, oh, do you work remote? Just having that remote work element, and going back to what Martin mentioned about emphasizing on having workspace or workstation, high speed Wi-Fi. So just think of remote workers, when you're thinking about adding features about them, or adding features to attract them on your website.
And Mathilda asked about preferred destinations. I think Asia is really popular. It's just a matter of digital nomads being able to manage their schedule as well. Due to the time zones, it's a bit tricky to manage, but it's up and coming because it's cheap to stay there. Although the flight fares are quite expensive, and then Central America is also quite popular, I believe.
And then we have Ronnie, who wants to know about how is Costa Rica as a place for digital nomads. So I think it's great. I have read a lot about Costa Rica specifically, about how the your government is trying to, really up their game with digital nomads. Of course, they have this 2-year visa for people to come and stay and work. They are also upping their tourism to make sure that these people come back again, and just tourists come in, uh, tourists come in as remote workers, and stay there. So I think it's good. It's a good place to be in.
It looks amazing now. It's definitely high on my list for sure. You've got the volcanoes, the rainforest, the
Yeah,
beaches.
didn't they
Everything.
didn't they pass like some kind of law as well?
Yeah, exactly.
It's called like the digital nomad law. Yeah.
Something of the sorts. Yeah, they definitely have the visa, and I see. I mean, of all the countries, Costa Rica is one name that I do see come up multiple times. So I would say that it's good. Um, and you are saying that you also have a very committed, internet availability. So I mean, I don't see a reason why not. So maybe you could push that out a little more, so in your images it would be nice to, when you have postings of your property and different spaces in and out of your property, it would actually help you a lot just by having that one screenshot of your internet speed.
Definitely, yeah. Yeah, I think that's the biggie for me. I just look at internet speed, location, and just a comfy space. But yeah, it's quite it's not very common for companies to showcase their Wi-Fi speed. I know it fluctuates quite a bit, but just an average speed, if it's over 15 megabytes, then I'm personally sold. So it's a good space. It's got good internet. That's all we need day to day. Good Wi-Fi, and then we
And
can.
recommendations is also very appreciated. If you get to a place and there's like, even if it's a property manager or someone on site, just recommending restaurants or activities in the area and how to get there, like they will give you, I don't know, there's a van that's going somewhere, or if you get a train to this place, it's pretty cool, and you kind of have some plan that's already designed for you. It's a lot easier, and you like really appreciate those recommendations and the stay as well. It enhances the experience.
Perfect.
Good
Well, guys,
questions.
we made it. I hope this was I hope this was informative.
Yeah, Matilda, I go home for a little bit and refresh, but I don't know about you, Martin, but yeah, it's good to always like catch up back home for a bit and then just sort of and then you get a few minutes and you're like, oh, okay, let's go back out and explore. So it's yeah, there's sort of there's definitely a travel bug, that's for sure. There is such a thing.
We have an apartment with my fiance, and we rent that on with a company throughout the year, and we just block it whenever we want to be here. But it's mostly traveling.
Suzanne, definitely interested. Yeah, I'm gonna check out that website now. For sure. Yeah, no, I'd love to visit Vienna. It looks beautiful. Perfect. Hey, thank you all for joining. It's been really great questions and so nice to showcase you Hostfully and Akia and give you a bit of a rundown. Really, kudos to Pooja for putting pretty much everything here together. It's been really nice to meet you, Pooja, and work together there. Yeah, I know there's more questions coming in. I guess we could go over.
Yeah.
Thanks. Yeah, I think you guys will be posting a recording, right? We have a bunch of people asking if there's going to be a recording of this webinar. So yes, there will be soon. And thank you all, guys. It was great, doing this webinar together.
Really pleasure. Yeah, it's been so nice. Thank you, Pooja, and thank you everyone for joining. It's been such a pleasure. And what we'll do is we will drop you an email with some details. And if you want to explore Akia and Hostfully further, we'll be so happy to take the.
We have the poll, Joseph.
Yes, you do. Yeah, make sure to fill in that poll there. So yeah,
next to the questions.
Yeah, awesome. Helena, yeah, Wi-Fi workspace. Private bathroom would be cool. Yeah. A 4-bedroom house would be great for like a family. Yeah, like Frank, that'd be great if he's on the move. I'm sure you definitely made the most of that for sure. Some great questions though. And is it good to label digital? Good answer there, Martin. Awesome. I think the questions keep coming in. I don't want to cut it. It doesn't cut off, does it?
It doesn't.
Oh, does it? Oh, cool. So we could give it another few more minutes if there's any more questions.
Yeah, and then we did have Heliana. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. What can I do to make my digital nomad a private? What can I do to make attractive for a digital nomad a private room in a big 4-room house? So obviously, the Wi-Fi, the working space, the private working area. Is there anything else?
Private bathroom is a very good one. Mm-hmm. If it's a shared space, like I said, you'll be staying there for like a month, so maybe it's more comfortable to have a bathroom.
Yeah, and maybe not just the accommodations alone, but talk about the community, your surroundings, what you're close to. Because people don't want to be working all the time. They want what it's called like a workcation or bleisure. With bleisure, it's business and leisure, and that if somebody wants to work from 9 to 5 and then spend the rest of the afternoon in a nearby popular famous city, that's another option to really start advertising if you're close by to one, and all the accommodations or all the transportation that can bring you there as well.
Definitely highlight local attractions and the city. That is definitely going to play big. So, yeah. We have another question. Percentage of digital nomads traveling solo. Well, they're called digital nomads because they travel solo. So I would say a majority of them travel solo, or maybe with a partner. But these are typically not people with kids or families, because as that can tie them down, at least with respect to timings and bookings. So majority of them do travel solo.
I think we'll wrap things up. But yeah, if you have any questions, we'll be sending out a message, so you can always reply to those. to our emails. But it's been such a pleasure. Yeah, thank you all for joining. And yeah, if you need anything else, you know where we are. You'll have our email and stuff. And yeah, I hope you have a great rest of the morning, afternoon, evening. And yeah, we'll speak soon. Thanks, guys. Thank you, Pooja.
Thank you. Thanks all, guys. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, Pooja. Thank you.